Call to order?
Hello, yes,
Yes, you can call us to order. Arthur,
yes.
you want to call us to order and then I'll read the instructions?
I'm the one that's going to order.
Well, you call this meeting to order and then you can toss the ball to me.
When did the last time I called the meeting to order?
Oh, okay, so here we are. So this meeting is being convened in accordance with Chapter 1 of the law, New York State laws of 2022, which allow suspensions of certain provisions of the open meetings law to permit this meeting to occur remotely via video conferencing. Francine, can you please confirm that this meeting was duly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so it's being live streamed on lmctv.org. And it's also on channel 35 on FiOS, channel 76 on Optimum. For those watching the meeting that want to email questions in real time, they can be sent to Richie.
To my email address, it's under my face, rpolcari, Polcari, at townofmamaroneckny.org. I'll be checking emails. Or if you're in the attendees, you can raise your hand.
Francine, can you confirm that all of the items on the agenda and the supporting materials to be discussed this evening have been posted on the website at least 24 hours ago?
Yes, they have been.
And can you also confirm that all of the items on tonight for public hearing have been duly noticed?
They have all been duly noticed.
Okay, and will you please call the roll?
Arthur Wexler,
Yes, finally.
Irene O'Neill. Irene,
Muted.
She's muted.
Yes, present.
Stephen,
Yes.
Jonathan, Zach,
Yes, here.
thank you. So, want me to call anyone else? Like
Is that everyone?
everyone?
Okay,
So we have 4 members here.
Yes. 4 members.
all right, Mr. Chairman, I turn it over to you.
Okay, application.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
application number 1,
Yes, Francine.
Appeal of tree permit Judith Dorsky, 4 Briardale Circle, requesting an appeal of 207.6 regarding the removal of 2 trees on the premises located at 38 Wingfoot Drive and known on the tax assessment map as block 204, lot 261.
I'd just like to state that since last month, we had an extensive meeting on this issue. And I feel at this time we should only limit it to the 2 trees that are in the application. So who's anyone going to speak, or we just go forward?
I don't have anybody raising their hand. I don't know who's, from the names, I can't tell who is part of this. So whoever's presenting, if you could raise your hand if you're an attendee.
Well, while we're waiting for someone to raise their hand, I circulated a draft resolution to facilitate discussion, and I made a few changes, which I then sent and posted as a red line. And that can get the ball rolling as far as summarizing what's happened up until now. Most of the resolution is recital clauses beginning with whereas. And then it concludes with a proposed denial, and that was all based upon the discussion that took place last month. So you can all feel free to chime in if there's anything that you think I mischaracterized or that you would like to suggest we change.
I read through all this. I thought it was perfect. Personally.
We had Leo raise his hand, so I promoted him into panelist.
So I only enjoyed good evening, everyone. I only joined the meeting just because it seemed like you were looking for someone on the applicant's behalf. I saw the draft resolution. I have no comments, and I certainly don't have any need to present unless the board has any questions or comments for me.
Then, Mr. Chair, I would move that we accept the draft resolution as presented.
I saw the draft resolution. I have no comments. And I certainly don't
Second.
have any need to present
Okay,
All right.
Jonathan, and then Irene. And I did, just to, for the record, Irene pointed out 2 misspelling typos, non-substantive, that I corrected.
The property owner is also in the attendees for 38 Wingfoot, but I don't know if they would.
She's here, but I believe Leo is her attorney.
Yes, and they do not need to be heard at all.
All right, so let's do a roll call on this then. We have a motion and it's seconded.
Arthur Wexler,
Yes.
Irene O'Neill,
Yes.
Stephen Marsh,
Yes.
Jonathan Sachs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.
All
We
right.
killed more trees with the paper.
Bye, Liz.
All right. Everybody have a good night.
And
Thank you,
Liz, have a nice meeting.
Thank you.
Hi, Liz.
Application number 2, case number 3268, Adrian Decker and John Elton, 1 East Drive, requesting a variance to legalize a fence on the premises located at 1 East Drive and known on the tax assessment map as block 107, lot 438.
Make a motion, open public hearing.
Second.
In here.
Hello. Should I just present what we filed? I'm not sure how to proceed here.
Well, first introduce who you are and your relationship to the application.
Sure, I'm John Elton. I'm the applicant and my wife is in the room also. I may remove my background. I don't have anything as creative as the International Space Station, but you'll have to, my spare bedroom will have to suffice. So this is a application for a fence. When we bought the house, the fence was there. It's kind of back in the back of our property on the retaining wall. At one point, we were going to move the retaining wall, and our contractor, who we didn't ask to do it, removed the fence during that process, unbeknownst to us. And we decided not to move ahead with changing the wall around, and we asked them to just put it back up. But I think in one of the applications, it looked like there was no fence there. So anyways, the fence was here when we moved in. Our neighbors have very similar fences. I have pictures of them, literally like right across the street, 30 feet away from our fence. On the top of our wall is a much larger wall with basically the same exact fence. And their neighbor also has a wall like ours and has a fence on the top of it. So that's kind of the state of play here. The fence has been around for 20 years. We've got little kids running around. The neighbors' kids are running around. Removing it or changing it would be dangerous. So we'd like to get this approved, and hopefully we can all spend our time on other stuff.
Just so the board knows, we've never received any complaints about this fence in the past. To our attention, because I think one of our code enforcement officers were driving by while it was being put back up. And when he looked into the records, he did not find a record of it. So that's how it came to our attention. It wasn't anything.
Well, to make the application clearer, it's for a fence that sits upon a retaining wall. Is that correct? And the reason that
Correct. The fence is not actually that high. The fence, it's the fence plus
It's about 4
feet.
feet. And it's sitting upon the retaining wall, and because of the combination of the fence and the retaining wall, that's why the applicant's in front of us. Is that correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
And the solution would have been only a guardrail based on code?
Yeah, you can do a guardrail, but that is not going to stop a child from, sliding under it. So for their safety reasons that they're pointing out, I don't know if the guardrail would be, more for like a walking area, like where you're just maybe walking, not playing. might not really work in this area.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this situation in Murdoch Woods
Right.
that was there, and it's very clear that this is a clear issue of safety. Otherwise, it would be a diving platform that was there.
I'm rolling down to maybe Weaver Street, yes?
Yes.
It's
I think the
also
original
very-
application-
also-
No, you'd be on Murray.
The original
I think-
application back in like 2014 or 15, I don't remember the year,
Right.
was to move the retaining wall a little farther out, I believe, and there was some stuff, that unfortunately that pictures, his contractor removed the fence.
Yeah,
So
but I think
everything that
even
we
if-
had, nothing.
What just came to my computer? What's this doing here?
I don't know, it would seem to me it's consistent with the area, and it is completely appropriate in how it's being used.
I agree. I think given the topography of the property, there doesn't seem to be an alternative that would make any sense.
It's consistent with the area, and it is completely appropriate in how it's being used. You want to see if anyone has any comments, Arthur?
Sure, but right now I got something that just came, blocked my whole screen. It's called WinZip Driver Update, and I can't get rid of it. So I'm having a little problems tonight. Okay, I'm okay.
Just so you know, I have no
Hey, just get
hands.
back.
We have to,
I have no hands.
What's
What's that?
going on here?
Francine, what did you say?
I said, and then when, it's okay, we have to have a motion if there's no public comments.
Okay. Well, first, I guess
Okay.
first, Arthur, do you want
Yeah, I have
to?
a little, Lisa, I have a big black thing in front of all your faces on my screen. I'm
Well,
trying to get rid of
we
it.
can see
So,
and hear you. We can see and hear you fine.
so
Yeah.
should we open up and remember any of the questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the audience, or I said the viewers who are part of the audience?
I've seen nobody in the attendees with a hand raised, and I have no emails.
So it's back again. So I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Would someone like to make a motion on this application?
I can do it.
Thank
Case 3268, area, I'm not sure how to pronounce Ariadne,
Ariadne.
Decker, and John Elton, who reside at 1 East Drive, are seeking to have a fence which, as built, is 9.7 feet where 4 feet is permissible pursuant to 240-52A, and further increases the extent to which the building is non-conforming pursuant to 240-69 for residents in an R10 zone. The board, in reviewing the application, took into account the benefit to the applicant versus the detriment to health, safety, and welfare of the community. In doing so, it looked at whether an undesirable change to the neighborhood character to nearby properties. The board finds there is no negative impact on any of the neighborhood or the nearby properties. This is a fence that had existed on top of a retaining wall midway into the property, not even at the street or boundary, that is used for protection so that no one would fall off what must be about a minimum of 5 feet. It looked to me like it might have been as high as 7 or 8 feet actually in one area. So since it's been there without complaint, it is consistent with the fences that are up in the neighborhood, and it won't have any impact. Whether the benefit could be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant, there may be other means feasible to the applicant that are out there, but this seems the most reasonable to create the proper safety that would be required for most likely children not to fall off of the retaining wall. Whether the request is substantial, the board would find the request is not substantial, as the fence had existed for a significant period of time, and it is attractive and consistent with the area. Whether the request will have any adverse physical or environmental effects, it will not affect air, light, noise, or affect any water, so we'll have no environmental impacts. Whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, It is self-created as the applicant wishes to have a fence to protect on top of the retaining wall, but it is non-determinative in this matter. Respect.
Before it's seconded, Jonathan, can I ask for more on substantiality that gets to something numerical? The fact that it existed before and that it's attractive doesn't work.
Well, the
for me.
fence, it's not substantial because the fence itself actually would be compliant. It is a 4-foot fence. It just happens to have a topography, which is a large hill running into a retaining wall. And on top of that retaining wall is that fence to create the protection, but the fence itself would be normally allowed within the code. Therefore, I find it not to be substantial.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
And I add also that looking at it, that it's a handsome fence and it really blends in with the type of architecture that's right behind it as a backdrop.
Absolutely.
Someone like the second?
Second,
Arthur Wexler,
Yes.
Irene O'Neill,
yes.
Stephen Marsh,
Yes.
Jonathan Sachs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy your fence.
Thanks all. Have a good evening.
You too.
Application number 3, case number 3269, Vikas Kathani, 251 Murray Avenue, requesting a driveway extension, accessory building, and AC compressor on the premises located at 251 Murray Avenue and known on the tax assessment map as block 113, lot 103.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second,
I'd like to make a comment that we only have 4 members presently on board, and one needs 3 positive votes for an action to occur. So if the applicant is satisfied with that, we can proceed with the hearing.
Good evening. I'm Gregory Ralph, the architect for the applicant.
Did you hear what Mr. Wexler said?
I did, and in fact, prior to that, we received some new information this evening from a few neighbors, and we were going to request that the board permit us to carry anyway 1 month so that we can attempt to hear those concerns and see if any revisions would make sense. So in light of that and the 4 voting members tonight, we would actually request if we could move to the next hearing.
I see no problem with that.
If I may just clarify administratively, if a revision is made in terms of reduction, is re-noticing required, or is the current notice sufficient as it's being carried?
I think in the past, since you're not increasing the extent of what you're requesting, that you don't have to renotice.
But please change the date on your sign to the date of the next meeting. You'll still need to post a sign.
and correct the time.
I was gonna say, make sure the time is 7.
7 o'clock, you said? Okay, correct the date and time. Yes, if there are any revisions, we will resubmit in advance of 10 days, and otherwise we will see you next month.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice evening.
Okay, application number 4. Case number 3262, Jonas Littman, 1011 Old White Plains Road, requesting a variance for an existing standby generator and AC compressor on the premises located at 1011 Old White Plains Road, known on the tax assessment map as block 325, lot 265.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second,
The applicant here.
Yes, do you see me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm Jonas Littman. I'm the homeowner. My wife, Rebecca Blake, has to do something with her son tonight, so she can't be with me. So we priorly got a variance to put in a generator, and the people installing it decided they want to move it away from my driveway, so there'd be sufficient room for snow plowing without damaging the generator, and moved it about 14 inches closer to our property line. That's one part of this variance. And when they came to inspect that, they noticed we have, I don't know, can I share a picture?
Yes,
Yes,
yeah, you could,
please.
if on the bottom, share your screen. You want to-
Okay, yep, I know how to do this. So, thank you though for telling me. So that's where the former line is. It goes from about here by the door and comes out. So that's how much they moved it. And the property line would be over here. There's also this heat pump, so it does both air conditioning and heating for the house. And there was never any application for a permit for that at all. The person who installed it said we didn't need it. And we got notification that we were in violation, needing to put in an application, which we have subsequently done, although it took quite a long time to get the information from the installer. But that's also, obviously, as you can see, closer to our property line. So we're looking to get the variance approved to the current location and a variance for having this heat pump, heat air conditioning unit.
I am a little bit of a loss since I do not have a copy of the application. So I would appreciate it someone take over at this case right now. It's the only one.
It also might have been good to have had the previous resolution. You know, we went through this significantly in the review on the standby generator. And this piece of property has a topography where this house is significantly below and at a substantial distance away from the next house, the neighbor that's up the hill that's there. And I think we've already had determined they presented an alternative location that really didn't make sense, and we had found that this was the most practical application, practical location for the generator. So I think we've already been through, and having this air conditioning compressor that's there, which is for a split, an extremely low dBA unit, I would assume. Although, do we have the information on the AC?
Should have been in there. Fortunately, I don't have it either.
I did send all of that with the application.
Being online because it's not in mine.
And I haven't even have an application in my packet.
Well, you should be able to see it online.
Well, I tried that today.
Okay.
It's held over from last month, Arthur. The paperwork was delivered last
It
month.
got tossed. I'm sorry to say that.
That's all right. Yeah,
And for
just
what it's worth, it is
to
very
expand
good.
on that, this, Jonathan, I think you had given us a measurement when we were originally approving this generator, that the closest house was like 300 feet away,
I think
right?
it was over 300 feet. That's why I was curious to what the previous resolution was, because we figured this out by
Like
Google
that through
Earth. But
Oh,
trees.
And there had been an acceptable location for this generator that wouldn't have required a zoning variance, but it would have been almost like in the front left corner of the property, if I remember correctly.
Actually, in the middle of our front
Middle
yard.
of the yard.
it was the
Right.
front yard was the only place. So
So this makes sense, and it's unfortunate that inches would require a return for a modified variance, I think.
and I
And
think the location of the heat pump again also makes the most sense. You
There
know,
actually is no other place because of windows, doors, so on and so forth. And within the area, it's meant to be heating and cooling, so.
But I think the major factor is this is a substantial distance from anyone in the neighborhood who could have a concern. And I can't even imagine it could be heard.
It's incredible. I mean, literally, there's two of these units. The other one is within, I don't know exactly, 10 to 12 feet of our front door, and right next to a front porch and seating area we have. And we literally can sit there while it's going and we don't even know it's on or off.
Is that one legal?
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think they.
I don't think
legalized
they
it,
would
but
be on the
it's fine.
agenda 3 months in a row.
No, that one was fine.
Right.
Facts worked on that one.
If anyone's interested, I did locate the prior resolution, but you have all recollected the big issues, so.
Okay. I don't have any other questions or comments.
Any other questions from the board? Again, that there are only 4 members here tonight, Mr. Littman. And that means that you have to have 3 positive votes for an action to occur.
And
So-
if it was negative, is there an appeal process at all or?
Yeah, and in 1 year, you can come back.
Or in
Okay.
Article 78.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
You can also take a straw poll. They don't have to answer, but if you'd like to poll the board, you can do that.
I guess, yes, I would love to do a straw poll. If, I don't know how to do that, but,
Well, we'll guide you through it.
okay.
As the chairman, I would say I have no problem with this application.
I have no problem either with the application.
I have no problem.
I'm-
I have no
I-
problem.
Here.
So there you
I'm
go.
okay
4
going ahead.
positive votes. You're
I
okay.
think I'm okay to go ahead
Well,
then.
4 thoughts, okay.
Thank you for guiding me through that.
Any comments from the public?
No hands raised, and I have no new emails.
I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
You want me to make a motion?
Sure.
File number 3262, Jonas Littman at 1011 Old White Plains Road to legalize an existing standby generator and AC compressor on the premises located at 1011 Old White Plains Road, Section 3, Block 25, Parcel 265. The generator in the rear yard is 33.1 feet, where 40 feet is permitted pursuant to Section 240-35B. And the AC compressor is 28.9 feet, where 40 feet is required pursuant to Section 240-35B. And further, the addition increases the extent by which the building is non-conforming for a residence in an R20 zone district. The board finds that the benefit to the applicant from the granting of the variance outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. In reaching this conclusion, the board considered the following factors: whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. The board finds that this will not have any change or an undesirable change on the character of the neighborhood. The generator and the AC compressor are located over 300 feet away from the closest neighbor. There's if I remember correctly, there's a large wooded area between the 2 houses. In addition to that distance. So this generator, which was previously approved by a previous zoning variance, was installed 18 inches from its original proposed location. So it really has very little change from what was previously approved during a prior zoning board appeal. Whether an applicant can achieve their goals via reasonable alternative, which does not involve the necessity of an area variance. With regards to the generator, we had explored the one area on the property that would not have required a zoning variance, but it would have placed the generator in the middle of the front yard. using up the usable front yard. That did not seem to make sense. We agreed on this rear location as being an appropriate alternative. And now it's just 18 inches away from what was previously approved. Whether the with regards to the air conditioning compressor on the side of the house, this makes the most sense as well, to keep the AC where it is, avoiding the windows and the doors for the house. Whether the variance is substantial, it is not substantial. The generator is hundreds of feet away from the closest neighbor, and it's just it was practically moved to make way for an ease of snow removal from the driveway. Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood, will not have any impact on the environmental conditions in the neighborhood. The air conditioning compressor on the side of the house is a split system that has a very low dB sound rating, and the generator mostly sits quiet, doing nothing 99.9% of the time, with the exception of a cycling scenario once a week for 15 minutes to make sure it's running properly. Whether there has been a self-created difficulty, there has been a self-created difficulty, but it is non-determinative in this matter. For the reasons stated above, the granting of the variance is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the Town of Mamaroneck Zoning Board of Appeals zoning ordinance.
Can I add a condition?
About the, yeah, but before you add a condition, can I just ask Steve, can you just give me a little bit about substantiality for the AC compressor?
The air conditioning compressor sits what appears by the photo 18 inches off the, extends just 18 inches past the side of the house, and is over 30 or is almost 30 feet from the property line. I think it's the low dB rating that will have minimal effect on the surrounding properties.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan, back to you.
Just that if we put any conditions into the previous resolution, just can we have them restated? And then also that the generator would only exercise between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on a weekday.
The prior resolution just said the weekly testing of the generator shall be only during daytime hours. So do you want me to replace that with 10 a.m.?
Yeah, it should be, no reason not to be a weekday during those hours.
It is.
Okay, I'll make that change.
I like the second.
Second,
Francine?
Arthur Wexler,
Yes.
Irene O'Neill,
yes.
Stephen Marsh,
Yes.
Jonathan Sachs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good
Stay
night.
safe.
Yes.
Application number 5, case number 3270, Richard Barella, 6 Baldwin Avenue, requesting a variance to legalize one AC compressor on the premises located at 6 Baldwin Avenue and known on the tax assessment map as block 126, lot 422.
Again, there's only 4 members, so I'll open up the public hearing. And wait. Get second again, I don't remember.
Second,
Okay, we only have 4 members at present, and 3 members in positive will make an action occur. So we can give you the option of 1, postponing to the next meeting when there might be 5 members. Or we can poll the board after your presentation if you want to proceed. Well, that's it. I think.
Sure. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Wilson. I am here representing property owner of 6 Baldwin Avenue. We are here seeking a 1 foot 1 inch side yard variance to, I guess, retroactively permit an air conditioning condenser on the side of the house. And we also need I guess a variance that further it increases the extent by which the building is currently non-conforming under section 240-69 of the code. So if I can share my screen.
Why?
Sorry. Yes.
What just happened to my? What's going on? Why is it you say it's presently non-conforming?
Oh, Arthur, they all say that because it was probably a pre-existing non-conforming house to begin with.
Correct.
In an R6 zone, this is non-conforming, really? Anyway, okay, I will throw my question.
Richie can confirm that.
I can, I'm just gonna take a look real quick. Looking for a survey online.
It's 50 feet wide. It has full setbacks. Anyway, not important at this point.
Okay, so what as part of our application materials, I submitted a few pictures. The one that I'm sharing my screen and showing right now is I'm showing that to demonstrate that it is really as close to the house as we could make it. There is an existing split rail fence, so it's not visible or readily visible, I should say, from the neighbors or from the street. So in terms of the balancing test, there is no impact, or I would submit there is no impact on the character of the neighborhood or certainly any environmental impact. It does not create an undesirable change to the neighborhood. I would submit that these types of condensing units are pretty usual in residential neighborhoods. They're really, in terms of where it can be located, there aren't any other very feasible alternatives that would be screened and also serve the purpose for which the property owner needs it. And I would submit that the 1 foot 1 inch variance is not substantial. It is a pretty small side yard setback that is required, but as this picture demonstrates, it is right up against the house. So there's not, we couldn't move it really any closer to the structure to increase, or I guess decrease the nonconformity there. So it's a fairly straightforward request. It does exist, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Is this application because the house is being sold, or is it because to legalize the AC condenser?
It came up as part of the sale. I'm not sure how it was flagged, but it has been in existence, and then as part of the sale, it became known that this actually violated the side yard setback.
How long has the air conditioning compressor been there?
I would say at least a year. I don't know the exact date of installation.
What's the DB rating on the air conditioner?
77.
Trying to find it in the paper.
I found it while you guys were doing it. It's
Okay,
77.
77.
Well, that's probably
I think you failed to put the most important picture in your presentation, which is you have to go search for the compressor. The shed that is there completely hides it from the street.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that'll actually amplify the sound a little bit, but the way it's situated, but it's completely unobtrusive.
But the neighboring house is set so far back, it's not going up against their wall. It's kind of going out into space. So.
Right.
It's, you really do have to strain to try and see it.
But if you look at the site plan, there's no place other than that side or the other side, and it'll present the same problem, just about 10-foot setbacks. You can't put in it back because to the deck it's 23 feet and the front is 31.6 feet. So any place that on the site it would require a variance.
Plus, there's a house close to the left side. So it'd be more intrusive to the neighbor if it was on the left side.
Yes, and it really can't be located any closer to the house. So I would submit that this is in the least intrusive place on the property right now.
Noted.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the, what kind of, is it the audience or what?
The public.
The public, okay.
No, I have no hands up. I'm just looking through the attendees right now. And I have no new emails.
Nobody. So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second. I'll do it. I know
Okay.
that's your next question, Arthur.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. This is case number 5, application number 5, case number 3270, Richard Barella, 6 Baldwin Avenue. Application seeks to request a legalization of 1 air conditioning compressor on the premises located at 6 Baldwin Avenue. All right. The board finds that the benefit to the applicant from the granting of the variance outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. In reaching this conclusion, the board considered the following factors. As to whether there will be an undesirable change in the neighborhood character or to nearby properties, the board finds the proposed variance will not create an undesirable change. This air conditioning condenser is pre-existing. It is also located in a very hidden away behind a shed and close to the house. In addition, the neighboring house on the right side is set much farther back than this house. So this should really not create an undesirable change. As to whether the applicant can achieve their goals via a reasonable alternative, the board finds that there is really no better, nowhere to place the condenser on the property that would not require a variance. And considering the positioning of the 2 houses on either side, this is really and nor would the front or backyards be suitable. The board finds that this positioning on the right side, tucked away the way it is the best best way. She's a cat. Best means for the applicant to achieve his goals. As to whether the variance requested is substantial, the board finds that the request is not substantial. That the request is not substantial. It's only it's an 8-foot requirement. There's side yard, there's 10 feet there now. So it really is encroaching minimally into the side yard.
Can I stop you, Irene? Could everyone
Yes.
mute to try to, someone's got feedback.
No, I know what it is. Let me do it.
Okay.
There
I
you go.
was just gonna ask LTTV if you could figure it out. I know.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, as to whether there will be an adverse impact on the physical environmental conditions of the neighborhood. The board finds that there will not. This unit has been in place for a while, so it will not change the environmental conditions. It really won't cause any meaningful runoff or other undesirable results. And as to final question as to whether the difficulty was self-created. Yes, it was self-created by the homeowner, given his desire to keep his house cool, but it is not determinative in this matter.
And Irene, can you just say something in connection with physical impact about the noise and the DBA?
Yes. What we characterize kind of moderate. The DBA ratio for the unit is 77, which, while not excessively quiet, should not create noise that would interfere with the neighbor. Also, in addition, then given that the neighbor's house on the right is not directly adjacent, the noise would have more area to be dispersed and therefore not as perceptible.
Okay.
Someone like second?
I'll second.
Francine?
We vote?
You muted. Francine, you muted.
You know, I had to just get to it. Okay, Arthur Wexler,
Yes.
Irene O'Neill,
Yes.
Stephen Marsh,
Yes.
Jonathan Sachs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
Application number 6, case number 3271, Karen and Jonah Weintraub, 4 Robbins Nest Lane, requesting a variance for a new front porch and second floor addition on the premises located at 4 Robbins Nest Lane and known on the tax assessment map as block 501, lot 271.
Is the applicant here?
They're coming.
Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Sorry, there was
Hi,
a
good
delay in
evening.
getting the,
So
getting the,
first off, there's only 4 members here tonight. So you
Yeah.
need 3 members for an action to occur if it's positive. Or
Okay.
negative. And, no, positive in fact. And you have a choice of proceeding, and at the end of your presentation and have a discussion, you can ask us to poll the board what we think. It's not
Okay.
binding, or you can ask an adjournment to next month.
okay. I would like to present and take a straw poll after we present and, get your feedback and any questions.
Okay, so let me open up the public hearing, make a motion, to open up the public hearing.
Thank you.
Someone like a
Second.
second? Okay. You're on.
Good evening. I'm Paige Lewis, Lewis and Lewis Architects. I'm here tonight with Karen and Jonah Weintraub. They're waving. They're at 4 Robbins Nest Lane, which is over by Palmer and Harrison. They're right by near the Acura dealer. So they came to us and they asked for a front porch and second floor addition. And we need a front yard variance. I'll share my screen and walk through the what we're proposing. Can you all see the title sheet?
Yes.
All right. So I'll just walk through the drawings here. So we have, we'll zoom in, give you a little idea. So here's Palmer, here's Harrison, and Robbins Nest kind of parallel with Palmer. You kind of climb up the hill. Number 4 sits up here on the right as you come up the hill. So they, by their location, they are fronting Palmer as well as Robbins Nest. So they have 2 front yards on their property. That's part of some of the uniqueness of this site. And then to give you an idea of what the existing property looks like, this is the existing front, the rear of the property, some images of the side, rear, and then kind of giving you a view of what Robbins Nest is. A nice cul-de-sac in there, what the houses and adjoining neighbors look like. And then, so this is just showing you adjacent properties and in relation to the house, with the existing and then proposed. We're coming in with a front porch to the front. So in relation to Robin's Nest. And then I'll jump in on the site plan. So here's our to the left is the existing site plan. To the right is the proposed site plan. So I'll kind of walk you through what we're doing here. So it's a existing 1.5 story house, and we're adding, it's a split level. So we're adding above the living room, kitchen, dining room portion for a primary bedroom and office for the homeowners. And we're going to come out to the front a little bit with a front porch. So we the existing, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So here's the existing stone steps and stone walk. And we're basically going to reuse those existing steps. You come into an existing stoop, which will be part of the porch. And then you come into the house at the first floor. And then we're going to kind of run that line straight across and create a front porch on the first floor. And on the second floor, this area above the front door will be the office. And then with the bedroom and bathroom behind it. I'll walk you through the plans. And we'll get into that. I'll walk you through the plans. So the existing first floor, here's the front door, front steps. You come in, and then you're at the main level, which is dining, kitchen, living area. And then you go up half a flight, and then you have your bedroom level. And then with the new plan, we'll come in and you'll go up. We'll carve out our stairs, and you'll come up and you'll arrive on the upper level. So we'll have a bedroom, bathroom, closet, laundry area, office area. And then on the first floor, so you'll come up the steps, you'll be on the porch. The existing front door stays there. So we'll have a covered porch area at the front. And we'll slide over. So then we'll have our office area, which is over the front door and the front stoop. And then you'll have the roof below the porch. And here's our bedroom. And then I'll jump to the elevations. So we have the existing front elevation with the proposed front elevation. So here's our steps, and then this is our railing and our columns for the porch, the office area, which is aligns over this porch area, and then the bedroom windows beyond. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. And so we're going to be residing the house, replacing some windows. There'll be new roof, new gutters. And then here's the side view, the right side, kind of going around. So then our new siding, our existing bedrooms. Back out. And then the existing rear elevation and the proposed rear. So really you're just seeing the bedroom on top and the bedroom addition, second floor addition on top. And then the left elevation. So you'll see the side of the porch beyond and the office beyond. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions the board may have. Back to the site plan.
Any chance, Fish, did you have a topographical survey?
I don't, but we could get one.
I mean, my concern when I looked at the plans, and I spent a lot of time walking the block today, also walking Palmer, is the massing issue. You've got mostly modest splits and a raised ranch that are there. This house already sits significantly above the adjacent properties that are there. And when you go, I know it's Acura that's across the street, you know, on the Palmer side, but I was kind of eyeballing this to say that you might be 50 feet in the air to the ridge line when you're on Palmer. That's there. And if you look at the massing of the rear side in particular, you know, we've got very flat surface there. So it looks substantial simply from a massing standpoint.
You mean from when you're standing in the rear yard? I'm gonna zoom in on this picture and looking at
No, standing down on Palmer.
down on Palmer, right? Because
Below the
you're
fence, below the wall.
right at
down
the
on Palmer.
sidewalk on Palmer.
Yeah, that's a substantial height that's there.
To begin with.
To begin with, right, to start, and then now going up even higher, because, we're gonna be significantly above the existing ridge line. You're a full story, above the existing ridge line.
Right, but I mean, we're a half story above the bedroom, the existing bedroom line. Because with the split.
If you bring up the side elevations,
Thank you, Arthur.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
So like, this one shows it. So yeah, you're talking this distance,
Yep.
because this is the upper bedroom level above the garage.
Right. I'm saying the house already looks substantial up above when you look from the Palmer side, and now it's going to even look more substantial. And
but
also a
that's a
little bit
product of
of,
the site also, Jonathan, unfortunately.
sorry?
It's a product of the site,
Yeah,
not so much the house.
Yep.
right, because it's kind of, we're at grade, here, and then Palmer kind of drops down. I mean,
Well, Palmer drops down, and that grade is also above the other homes that are on Robin's Nest.
right,
So I'm just saying already that house looms above the adjacent properties.
According to the title sheet, though, that this height, the principal structure is only 25 feet or 35.
Yeah.
35 to the center line of the ridge.
Right.
And
the midpoint, right, is the,
measuring it's at 25. Jonathan, I was looking at it. I had a thought of the massing as well, but it was really directed more towards the front of the house where it is asking for the variance, kind of because this house encroaches on the front yard setbacks, and that is what I thought was the weight or the massing was presented. But can I just ask, I was trying to look at the different pitches of the roof, that just to see whether or not it's an accurate representation on this proposed front elevation. I saw it's an 8 pitch on the proposed right side elevation, right, for that main box.
yeah, right here.
On the lower right, yeah, you're showing it as an 8 pitch. But when you look at it from the front, proposed front elevation, does it, if you can go to your front elevation over here, does that look like that roof is standing up so much higher than an 8 pitch? Or is it just impossible for me to see it from the front elevation? Not where your hand is, over on the main box.
Yeah, over here.
That,
Yeah, I mean, this is climbing away from you, and
yeah.
Go back to the side view, you get a better sense of it.
From the side view, it doesn't look as
yeah, because this
bad.
is going away. So when you draw it flat on, this ridge line is further behind. You're really just seeing the eave line, and it's climbing up and away.
Well, I think I was also seeing the same thing in 2 dimensions because I'm not seeing the depth of the front porch. So this looks very flat from the front. And I would say you're already looming over the existing homes. It felt to me at substantial mass that was going to be above the homes now going up, but maybe it isn't.
Let me go to the other, when you're looking at zooming in here, because you're
right.
You have the porch roof, which is sloping, it climbs up, and then you'll have the main roof of the bedroom, the 812 pitch, climbing away. So the presence at the street is really, I mean, you do have this tower element at the office, but it's small in width compared to the overall width of the whole addition. And you have the porch.
It's unfortunate because it's striking me with a lack of certain symmetry, and I'm trying not to be an architectural review board here, but that maybe is what's giving me this impression of such large massing.
You have a lot of different pictures on the house.
Yeah, you would think that should soften it.
Oh, yes or no?
Yes, there are pitches, several, I mean, there's different pitches on the roof. Yes.
It's like if you look at the existing picture, take a look at a picture, not of your elevation of the house. And, as Steve was saying, it's the house sitting so far forward and up on the hill. And I really wanted the street view.
When we're,
you gotta pull back a bit is, like when I stand in the middle of the cul-de-sac and, just turn around 360 degrees looking at the houses. This is the most substantial existing house on the block. Maybe it's unfair to, yeah.
I mean, when you look at it in comparison to the neighbor to the right, we're also, we're sitting up higher to begin with. Your grade at the garage is higher than their grade at their garage. So the natural elevation is climbing up.
I'm only focusing on the balancing issue relative to the effect on the neighboring properties. And that I see this house as being will appear to be so substantially larger that's there and so looming. How can we talk to that won't have a negative effect?
I mean, well, I'm gonna zoom back up to the top, to the front, because the addition is from this portion to over here. We're not taking over the whole entire house. It's only a portion of the second floor. And then we have a porch where we're softening, we're breaking up with a one-story addition infill here. And then the second floor is back, here at the bedroom. So we're breaking it up, we're stepping it back. We're coming out across this full width with the two-story. So we have our tower element at the front door, and then we step back for the addition.
I wish I could pinpoint for you what the element is that's doing it. Maybe it's a bit of a tower.
I think it's the massing in the center of the house where you're putting the second floor.
That it doesn't balance to the left side.
It just pushes it up higher than the balance of the rest of the house. Because it looks like the ridge is more than a floor in height. Is that correct from the ceiling of the second floor?
So when let me go back to this side elevation.
I think you'll see it on the. So the line from the eave of the we call the tower running across horizontally,
Right.
and then the height from the ridge of that point where the cursor is, it almost looks like it's more than a story in height above the house. How do you soften it? It's almost like you want to push it down in some fashion.
Right, but it's just like when you or too low of a slope of a roof is not
Helping.
yeah, I don't. Would question.
Kind of like this also, I think, is exacerbated by the curve of the cul-de-sac portion. you have a substantial distance from the very front of the house to reach the entranceway, but it dramatically drops off, right? We're going the difference from, what is it, 38 feet, down to, is the radius all the same? It's 30 feet? It's 30 on the radius from that corner from the cul-de-sac?
The radius of the cul-de-sac?
No, sorry, it's dropped it. I'm having a hard time reading the number. 20.4?
Yes, what we're, the distance, yes,
Yeah.
to the face of the porch, 20.4.
Right, so I guess I'm looking at the house saying, there's a 10-foot difference encroaching from what the existing house is when I'm standing there. I was trying to visualize where that house would be coming to, and it just feels like a lot of house getting very close.
Right, but I mean, this is the porch, the corner of the porch.
Yeah, I know, and that should be open, and I'm saying I'm looking at the 2 dimensions, and I'm seeing just massing because I'm not seeing the dimension of the depth. I do see it from that side elevation. I can appreciate that you got a substantial depth there in that front porch. I mean, maybe that's some of the way to think about it, that it really is open space, not really habitable space.
Right, exactly. That's kind of why I threw a little yellow in there to show you that it's not, we're not grabbing all this for habitable space. The biggest chunk of this is porch.
Right.
In addition to that, you have this, and I'm reading 26.1 feet to the face of the second floor addition.
Correct.
But then is there an additional to the stone curb? We I don't know if somebody brought this to your attention already. At the street, are we an additional 10 feet to the stone curb of the street? So does it
Here?
read like, yeah. That's
You're at least, I think, 10 feet there.
we have this extra 10-foot buffer.
Correct.
So it's set back, although you're 20 feet to the face of the porch in the other left corner, you've got the open space there, and the mass of the structure at 26.1 is going to present itself further back because the curb.
You've got this green space in front of it.
And Steve, that's how I walked it. I walked it from inside the cul-de-sac, and I walked all the way down the hill. I wanted to see what I thought that would look like. And that was my sense. When I'm walking along the stone curb, when I got to the front, I said, well, there's still a substantial distance there. Even the driveway itself going up makes it feel like the house is much further back, right? Because you have a substantial driveway there. But I'm still concerned that when I was standing at the curb, I felt like I could easily just, throw a stone over to that corner. The dog came off the porch to me on a short leash and was, there almost at the curb. It was a short distance. Could I share my screen for a second?
Sure, I'll
Richie?
stop and let you.
Share the right one. Can you see the Google view?
Give it a second. Sometimes it takes a minute.
Not
to load
yet.
these.
Not there yet.
It's working on it.
Yes, no?
Yeah,
Yes,
I-
that's going now.
So, I walked from where this basketball hoop was here, and you feel very close to the house. And I'm picturing now that corner is extending even further. You walk down the street and you feel like you're substantially far away from the house. But when I'm looking here, because the elevation continues to go up the road and goes up on the property, and I'm just envisioning how high that center tower is, and I look at the other houses here, and I'm saying, is that the king on the hill? This is, I can't get further in the cul-de-sac, I don't think. Right, we're now squaring out this area. And
Right.
feels like a hell of an encroachment and then look at the massing going right above it. It's a. Okay, I'll unshare, but that's what I was seeing.
You know, it's a difficult house because it's a split left to right.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's a split level.
Right, but it's a horizontal split level, not a.
Oh, right.
And to gain the space that you want, you have to go over the higher part of the birching of the.
Right. And
And it brings it very high.
the porch is really forcing the, is why we're here tonight for the variance because we're pushing out beyond the 30-foot front yard setback.
And I guess you visually, does the porch need to extend as far as it does? I mean,
I'm working with the existing steps and kind of coming, striking that line and working off of that point.
I tell you though, but if your roof line moved in above the porch there, that would look strange too. At least this looks balanced to the center. It just, to me, the center just doesn't look balanced to the house.
To me, that this house looks as if it has been modified several times previously with add-ons. That's because it probably looked like all the others in the beginning. And so I think it looks awkward now.
They're all a little different, all of the houses in the cul-de-sac, and there was one add-on to this house.
Yeah, you can just look at the floor plan.
That's
It's different.
the one to the
Part
left.
of the
Yes, to the
reason-
left, the office and whatever's to the left, yes.
And we're working hard with the design to actually ensure, we hear what you said, we walk around Largemont, we've been here for, almost a decade now, and certainly see the modulated houses. So we're trying to find a way to make it look coherent, which is probably why it's massed in the center, right? Because there's an addition, if you're looking at the front of the house to the left, that's an addition that was made by the previous owner.
Right.
And we are trying to unify it between the tower and the pieces of just trying to bring it together so it doesn't look like that. So we're certainly fighting against that same thing.
I think you're hearing this board fighting the same way. It's trying
It's a challenge.
trying to picture a way to help solve your need here.
I think it's also the office on the second floor, which gives you that tower effect. And then with a very steep roof above it and coming close to the property line, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least visually looking like it's close to the property line.
Right, because of the curve of the cul-de-sac, it's really
Right.
the porch, that left corner of the porch. I'm hearing what your comments and your feedback, and in light of you having only 4 members, would some additional sketches, a rendering, perspective sketch to show the relation to the grades and what the massing of this would look like?
Well, I don't see, is there a section drawn
No sections drawn in
I didn't see a
this.
section.
in the set, in the set you gave us?
In this set, there's no.
So maybe it might be helpful to have a section going from front to back through the tower, through the steps, through the curb, to get a better sense of it. And what you can manipulate.
Right.
You might want an adjournment.
Yeah, I'm just trying to,
What, is there something in the neighborhood anywhere Harrison Drive and up and across, I forget the other perpendicular street, that would be analogous to this house?
something down the street on Harrison a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
Well, in Harrison, they did the 2 new houses, that was the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
closer towards Shadow, going into the village there.
and he went very vertical, and then there's the other one that
On
borders the
Rockwood.
porch.
There's the one that's like up on that huge hill on when you turn onto Rockwood off Harrison.
And the other one that he did a piece of it is actually in the Larchmont one. We struggled with that house also with what he did. I think it was a more modern style though. I don't know, I'm willing to drive the area again.
All right, so if I come back with the section that Arthur referenced and maybe a sketch which helps in 3D because the elevation is so flat that I think we're struggling. You're seeing that mass of that roof, but it's really going away. It's not coming out at you. And if you had a rendering that helps to show how that.
Possibly, yes.
I'd love to see the perspective coming from the line of sight where the basketball hoop.
Yeah, exactly. Where that, right, from that viewpoint from the basketball hoop.
Because taking it off access, I think will give a better idea to the mass.
I have a question also. Would it be possible to soften the angle of the roof line on the tower to make it a little less prominent?
Sure, we could look at that, study that.
That might also bring it down a little, so to speak.
Well, do an Arthur Wexler with an open tower.
Excuse me, for 1/2 a second. Ira? I ended it.
Hey, Arthur,
You're muted, Arthur. You're muted. You're
Arthur,
muted. You're still muted.
you're still muted. Be back.
Can we see if anyone from the public wants to comment?
I have nobody raising their hands.
Okay.
And
I also think it would be helpful. I don't think I saw any letters of support in the application.
Okay, I know we had talked to neighbors, but we'll get some letters of support.
Okay.
So Arthur, you're muted.
you talking to us or is he on the phone? His phone is ringing before he.
Oh, the ring. Oh, you muted me. Okay, sorry. So instead of having the main roof like this, you modified it down and then you can modify the tower so it'll still look like a tower and be prominent, but not as high. That's all I'm trying to say. To get the massing down and not have so many different pitches of roofs.
I was kind of thinking the opposite. It was almost like if the tower violated the above the other roof line in a steeper, maybe it looked like a architectural element. I don't. You're the architects.
Right. We'll come back next month. Well,
Thank you.
I'll have to be
Thank you.
adjourned.
You understand our concerns.
I do. I hear your comments and I appreciate your feedback.
And still keeping in the spirit of what you're trying to do.
Correct. Thank you all. Thank you all for your time this evening.
All right. Do I have to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
No, you do not.
Just change the date on your sign. Oh, lost it.
Page House. Application number 7, case number 3272, Douglas and Helen Canaro. Request of 102 Murray Avenue, requesting a variance for a proposed addition on the premises located at 102 Murray Avenue and known on the tax assessment map as block 119, lot 211.
The applicant here?
Coming.
Hello?
We can hear you.
You can hear?
Arthur has to
Okay,
open the
great.
meeting.
Hi, good evening.
1 minute.
Evening,
Arthur,
excuse
Open.
me. Who you pointing to?
Arthur, you have to open the public hearing.
I didn't get there yet.
Okay. No, I meant before this gentleman spoke.
No, I ended that phone call. Like to make a motion on the public hearing.
Second.
I have to let you know there were only 4 members present at the time, Joseph.
Yes.
and it takes 3 members to make an action occur. So the option you have is to make your presentation. At the end of your presentation, if you listen to the comments from the board, you can request that you poll the board for their feelings on the application, or you can ask for an adjournment at that time or now.
Okay, yeah, we'll wait till the end and we'll see. I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. Thank you. So can I start?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. My name is Joseph Bruno. I'm with Bruno Kearney Architects. I'm here tonight representing Douglas and Helen Pinero, as you mentioned, for 102 Murray Avenue in Mamaroneck. It's an existing 2-story single-family residence built, I believe, in 1921. We are seeking a variance to the side yard setback requirement for the proposed, it says addition in our letter, but it's really a floor area enlargement. We're not adding anything physical to the building in terms of enlarging the footprint or the lot coverage. It's on the north side. It's an existing 8-foot side yard that does not meet the 10-foot yard requirement as per 240-38B2, that at least one of the side yards shall be a minimum of 10 feet. That existing north side yard is 8 feet, and the side yard on the south side is 32 feet for a total of 42 feet. So we meet the minimum total requirement. We are just not pre-existing non-conforming on the north side. On the north side, the northeast, do you all have the presentation that we prepared?
Yes, but do you want to share your screen?
I have it on a separate screen. I could try, let me see if I can bring it up here. Hold on. Yeah, I have it here. If we jump all the way to the end of the presentation, how do I do that actually? Share my screen.
Bottom of your screen, bring your mouse to the bottom of your screen, it'll pop up, share your screen in the middle.
Share screen, there it is. Here we go. Great. So, now I can't move my document. I jumped to the, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I could, yes, I see pictures.
Great. So this is the east side, the back, the rear of the house. There's an existing covered porch. We are proposing to enclose that covered porch, which is under the 2-story home and the roof already, and include that in the footprint of the house. We're also looking to, here's another photo of it from the side yard. And then at the front, we're looking to do something similar under the existing front porch. We're looking to increase, yeah, you can see on the ceiling of the front porch there at the front door, there was a little temporary vestibule. We're looking to add a few square feet there to enlarge the vestibule and the entry. In our opinion, the proposed enlargement, which includes portions located in the side yard setback, will not be a detriment to nearby properties. The proposed additions will be made by enclosing existing porch spaces, which have existing foundation walls and have existing second floor spaces above. There will be no new excavation work, no new roof construction for the proposed variance. The proposed additions will not change the profile of the existing north wall of the house. The proposed finish of the new exterior walls will match the existing finish. The proposed additions include additional space for the kitchen and foyer, as mentioned previously. Enclosing the existing porch spaces allows us to enlarge the kitchen and entry foyer without relocating the spaces and with minimum additional expense. It does not increase the lot coverage. It does not increase our level of non-compliance with this pre-existing non-conforming condition. In our opinion, the variance is not substantial. The enclosure of the existing porch spaces do not increase the extent by which the existing building fails to meet the setback requirement. The yard is unoccupied and unobstructed space from the ground upwards. The existing porch areas to be enclosed per this variance request are both under the existing second floor. The existing north side is determined by the existing construction at the second floor. Enclosing the existing porch spaces under the existing second floor does not reduce the dimension of the existing side yard. It does not increase the level of non-compliance of the minimum side yard regulation. The existing porch spaces to be enclosed in the side yard setback shall be approximately 4 feet square feet at the entry foyer and approximately 12 square feet at the kitchen. So you can see we're only adding a very minimal amount of floor area to the existing house. I don't believe there's a limitation on floor area, but there is obviously on lot coverage and setbacks. In our
Joseph,
opinion,
can you, Joseph, excuse me, can you scroll down to your plan so that we can tie this together, looking at what you're talking about?
Sure. So here we go. On the left-hand side is the first floor existing conditions or proposed demolition, and on the right-hand side is the proposed floor. So this little pink area here, where you see the hatched wall area, can you see my little cursor there?
Yes,
That's the
yes,
existing
yes.
porch. So we're proposing to fill in that existing covered porch at the rear, northeast rear of the house. And then in the front, similarly, we're proposing to fill in a small portion of the front porch under the existing front porch on the, that would be the west side of the house facing Murray Street. Is that
And
clear?
on that front portion, you're not enclosing the whole porch in the front, just a small.
Oh, no. The living room bumps out, and we're proposing to bump out similarly, not as much, but bump out and not beyond where the existing living room bumps out already.
And
All
the
that's
reason for the variance is because that
the
wall
side yard.
is 2 feet too shy.
Yeah, I'll bring up the site survey.
R75?
I believe so, yeah. So this is the side yard here. That's 8 feet. And this side yard is 32 feet for a total of 42 feet. So this is the pre-existing non-conforming setback. Once again, this house was built prior to the enactment of that zoning restriction or zoning regulation of 10 feet.
Yeah, it's really only increasing the nonconformity of
Yeah.
the existing nonconformity. I mean, I think when you walk the street, I think if you took people and pulled them off the street after they were done with this, they would struggle to tell you what was done.
So since the house basically is just the way it is.
The house is going to sit just the way it is, and it also sits your eye level to look up to that area. I mean, you're looking straight up the hill. It's how many steps that run up to the front?
It's substantially above the street. I forget the exact elevation, but it's approximately at least a story, if not, it's a large hill.
Meanwhile, the
house sits on top of
dogs were barking at me when I parked across the street.
Right. It's funny. Every town has their own set of rules. We've had this passed at the building department level in many jurisdictions here on Long Island, Westchester, upstate, without a variance. So everybody has a different interpretation of this rule.
Well,
Joseph,
making something that's not conforming more non-conforming?
Well, the most glaring one is you look at the zoning chart and you say it's existing 8 feet and it's proposed 8 feet. So
my interpretation,
you're talking about what, a total of 40, somewhat 50 square feet?
21 square feet, I believe. My interpretation of it is we're not in my interpretation of it, I'm licensed in 10 states, and everywhere I go, my interpretation of this is we're not increasing our level of non-compliance. What we're doing is legalizing an existing non-compliant condition.
Repeat that again?
My interpretation of this in most of the jurisdictions I've had to do this in before in multiple states is that we're not increasing our level of non-conformity. We're legalizing a pre-existing non-conforming condition.
Well, we don't have to debate that one, because if you were going up, you would not say you were increasing the nonconformity, even though you were staying within the same footprint?
Exactly. We're not increasing the level of nonconformity.
I disagree. Okay.
I disagree.
I mean,
also.
my
You're
reading of
making
the
the use
statute,
of something that different than the use of it at the present time.
as I said, that's my interpretation of your statute. That's all. So that's why we're here.
Well, you could have challenged the zoning.
This is.
I think you're trying to push this further than you need to.
No, that's right. I'm involved in something like that now. So anyway. Any other questions? Are you finished with your presentation?
Unless there are any more clarification questions, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Any
I have
questions?
one more question. Joseph, can you just repeat that square footage measurement that you said it was 12 feet in the kitchen, I think, and
The total proposed addition is 21, the total floor area between the kitchen and the front porch is 21.2 feet. And the,
And how much of that is in the 2-foot setback?
none of it, zero. Oh, 4 square feet.
Right.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
No.
Any questions from the public?
Have nobody raising their hands and no new emails.
I make a motion to close the public hearing. Someone like to make a motion on the 4 square feet?
I can do it. At least I think I can talk to substantiality on this one for you. Okay, case number 3270, is that 2?
3.
3272.
It's
Two, you're right.
2, okay, 2. Douglas and Helen Panero at 102 Murray Avenue are seeking a variance for an addition on the house for a side yard setback of 8 feet where 10 feet is required pursuant to 240-38B sub 2 sub A, of which it further increases the extent that the building is existing and non-conforming in an R7.5 zone. The board in reviewing this application took into account the benefit to the applicant versus the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. In doing so, it determined whether there would be an undesirable change in the neighborhood character or effect on nearby properties. The board finds that there would be no effect to the nearby properties into the neighborhood. The addition that's being sought is extremely small. It is squaring out a space that is within the existing footprint, both in the rear and in the front. The rear is clearly not visible, and the front is actually under a overhang on a covered porch that's there and just squares out the corner of the house there. Whether or not the benefit could be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant, the board would find that no, it cannot. Doing a practical bump out here of the existing space to better make the work on the flow and usability of the interior can only be achieved by this approach. Whether the request is substantial, the board would find it's not substantial. The portion of the bump out that they are looking to do is 4 square feet in one area, and the rear back corner would be how many square feet? Slightly larger than that, but it's also a very small portion, and it's underneath the existing rear overhang as well that's there. So the board would find that the request is not substantial, as it doesn't increase any of the massing on the house, and most likely will not be visible. You probably have to challenge whether or not someone even sees that there was a change there. Whether the request will have any adverse physical or environmental effects, it shouldn't have any effect on air, light, water, runoff, or any other environmental condition. Whether the alleged difficulty is self-created is clearly self-created as the applicant looks to increase the usability and square footage within their house, their FAR, all that is as of right. But it is non-determinative in this matter. Respectfully submitted.
Like the second?
Second.
Francine? You're muted. You're muted.
Arthur Wexler,
Yes.
Irene O'Neill,
Yes.
Stephen Marsh,
yes.
Jonathan Sachs.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
21 square feet.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Take care.
Thanks.
application number 8, case number 3273, Lance Widner, 20 Colonial Avenue, requesting a variance for an addition on the premises located at 20 Colonial Avenue and known on the tax assessment map as block 120, lot 293.
The applicant here.
Your comment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on a minute. We didn't open the public hearing yet. We have only 4 members tonight.
Yes, I
You
heard.
know the drill then, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
You're on, Joseph.
All right. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joseph Guglielmo, representing Lawrence Gordon Architects tonight. I have the homeowner Lance Widner on the line as well. And I'm going to share my screen here.
Trying to bring Mr. Gordon up, which is taking,
Oh, okay. Yeah, he should be on.
yeah, I don't know why he's not coming up every time I try to bring him up.
I know he was texting me earlier. He's in there somewhere.
He's here now. Okay.
Well, I'll get started. So what we're here for this evening is we are proposing a couple additions to the existing house. I will zoom in on the survey here. And what we're requesting is a side yard variance of 6.3 feet where 8 feet is required, a combined side yard of 16.35 where 18 is required, and of course, expansion of an existing non-conforming property. The area in question is this left side of the 1-story addition that we're proposing. So a little more here so you can see. We're also, part of this application is, additional work. There's a 2-story addition and a small front porch, which we have kept within the setbacks. So really, it's just the 1-story portion that we're discussing this evening. In the floor plan, what we're proposing to do is bump out the kitchen. We'd like to keep the wall aligned with the existing wall, obviously, for functionality of the space and not have to jut it in and have an awkward spaced kitchen. Here is the existing floor plan, which you can see here. That's the existing kitchen. We're basically taking over the space that is the existing patio for the addition to create a larger, more functional kitchen.
It looks like the patio doesn't align with the exterior face of the house. Is that true?
Yeah, it's like a couple inches in from the corner of the house. I mean, when I measured it, it's probably like 3 or 4 inches.
Got it.
I tell you, you confuse the hell out of me because our set says existing and existing, so for the first floor plan.
That was our error.
Oh, okay. Apologize for that.
I started searching for your proposed and then came back and said it had to be.
Yeah, must have been a typo when we
It's
printed that
something
one.
bigger than what's presently there.
Yes.
Okay, moving on upstairs.
It's also helpful for us if you can do them to scale.
Same scale. Yeah, I did it here just to kind of squeeze everything on one page, but in the future, I'll keep that. The elevations I did do side by side, same scale. So when we get to that. So the second floor, again, like I said, it's only a 1-story piece here. So the roof would be encroaching. The existing house, and I'll go to the photos afterwards, the second floor has a 6-inch overhang over the first floor wall. So the second floor juts out just a little bit more, and you'll see that better in the photographs. Elevation wise, the front, we're adding a little porch, has nothing to, that is within the setbacks and is compliant. Going to this is the left side where the 2-story addition is. Again, it's within the setback. The right side of the house here, this is the area in question. So here's the existing house. We're bumping out, for the 1-story, and you can kind of see the 2-story in the background. It should have printed a little lighter, for depth purposes, so you can see that. The existing back of the house, I'll zoom in on the drawing here so you can see. So you can see how the second floor has this 6-inch overhang in all directions. We're aligning with the first floor wall here, for the addition. Can you see the photo here? This is the back of the existing house. This is the area in question. I apologize. I wish I had a better picture showing the relation to the neighboring house here. But I did not get a good photo in that angle. We did receive letters of support from both neighbors on both sides of the house. I believe it's number 18 and number 22. And there was a third letter, Lance. I don't remember who the third neighbor was.
That's correct, Joe. There was an email of support from the neighbors abutting us in our backyard.
Have those been submitted? Because they did not come through to us.
No, I could bring them up on screen if you'd like to read them. I can
You
also
should just submit them to the building department. We'll note that.
absolutely. I'll email them first thing in the morning, or I can email them right now, actually, if you want. So this is the letter. Would it be helpful if I emailed those to Francine right now?
In the scope of things, no.
Yeah, you,
But for the record, it would be helpful.
Okay. All right, I'll email it to her in a moment when we're done. So this is 20 Colonial. This is from which neighbor is this one?
18 would be to the right side, looking at the front of the house.
Yeah,
she's to the right. She may actually be on this evening. She,
I was gonna
although
say
it's,
she's an attendee right now.
yeah, she did offer to, I know we're last, but she did offer to come in and support us verbally. She's been a very dear neighbor of ours, Eleanor Dreyfus. So she's to the right if you look facing our home.
okay, so she's the one most closely affected by this addition.
Well, I think both houses are affected by the addition, most affected by the issue of where a variance is required.
Correct.
I did have the opportunity to walk the property, and it looked to me visually, even though it's not staked out, that the house will not extend in the rear more than the house than 22 currently extends into its backyard.
Correct. So this is the Google Street View. This is the front of the house. This is the one on the right that we're talking about. You can see it's actually pushed back a little bit further than the house that we're talking about, Lance's house here.
For this area, that is substantially pushed back, even though it looks.
Yeah, it's one of the few houses that we propose a small front porch that we don't need a front yard variance on. So we're open to any questions that the board may have.
As we've asked the previous applicant, what is the actual square footage that you're adding on to the house that actually will violate the setback? Because it's got to be a relatively small number.
Yes, I will give you that square footage in a second. I'll have my CAD open in the other window and I will get an area of that piece in a moment. 21 square feet.
Oh, just like the last case.
Yeah, technically it came out to 20.9, but I rounded up.
In Lotto today.
Yeah, I got 20.9, but I rounded it up.
Okay. Can play both 20 and 9.
There you go. Like I said, we're open to any questions. If you'd like to see any photographs or.
What are you using as the number for the combined yards that presently exist?
Richie and I went through this today.
So the two side yards existing we have is 12.7 because you have 6.2 on the right side of the house and the survey is turned around so that it matches the plans. So from the street view, the right side of the house was 6.2, the left side was 6.5.
But where you're proposing to add is in the front of the house, correct?
No, the back.
On the back.
I mean, the back of the house, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
So you
what-
see, go ahead.
Richie, how do you deal with this one? Wouldn't it be 10.15 plus 6.3?
Yes, why did I do my calculations wrong? I thought we needed this.
On the notice, it says 16.35 feet because that's the 10.15 plus the 6.3.
16.45. Yes?
Yes, the notice says 3.5, but 4.5 is what is on our drawing.
No, you have 4 or 5 on your.
That's correct. That's right. That's what you have. Correct. Okay. Any other questions from the board?
No.
My only question I don't want to even get into here because I think that the combined existing side yard is only 14.5.
But don't get into it.
I'm not getting into, I know, I'm not getting into it.
Any questions from the audience? Or any comments from the audience?
Hold on. I have an email. No, he left. It's just somebody telling me that they had to leave the meeting. No.
I'd like to make a motion to close this application, the meeting, the public hearing.
Second.
Well, first off, do you want us to proceed? That's number one.
Yes.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion. For application number 3273, Lance Widener at 20 Colonial Avenue is requesting a zoning variance for the proposed addition, which has a side yard of 6.3 feet where 8 feet is required pursuant to section 240-39B. And a combined side yard setback, did we agree at 16.45 feet, where 18 feet is required pursuant to section 240-39B? And further, the addition increases the extent by which the building is non-conforming pursuant to section 240-69 for a residence in the R6 zone. The board finds that the benefit to the applicant from the granting of the variance outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. In reaching this conclusion, the board considered the following factors: whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. The board finds that an undesirable change will not be produced in the character of the neighborhood. The addition and the request for the variance is in the backyard of this property and is extending an existing non-conforming structure further back within the rear yard setback. So the applicant is just asking for the opportunity to continue with the existing line on the right side of the house that is an existing non-conforming, extending the existing non-conforming structure further to the back. So for the character of the neighborhood, this is a extension. It does not extend beyond the the neighboring houses in the backyard in the property. So it will, and it is not visible from the street, perhaps. Whether an applicant can achieve their goals via a reasonable alternative, which does not involve the necessity of an area variance. And the architect was able to show that it made the most sense to continue with the right side of the structure being straight so that they did not have to have a unnecessary jog in the middle of their kitchen that they are doing this extension for. So it does not make sense to step the house in the 2 feet. That would put a additional burden on the applicant. Whether the variance is substantial, the variance is not substantial. It's 21 square feet of it's encroaching 21 square feet into the side yard for the total the variance. That is not substantial. Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, board finds that it will not. The lot coverage as proposed will be 28%, where 35% is acceptable. What's that? allowed, where 35% is allowed. So it continues to be well below the acceptable lot coverage. And given this, the extent of this addition, a stormwater prevention plan will be submitted with the building permit. Whether there has been a self-created difficulty, the board finds that it is self-created, and that the applicant would like to increase the size of his house, but it is non-determinative in this situation. For the reasons stated above, the granting of the variance is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the town of Mamaroneck zoning ordinance. Submitted.
Francine.
Anybody
Oh,
second?
someone second? It was
Second.
seconded already.
Irene, okay. Arthur Wexler,
Yes.
Irene O'Neill,
Yes.
Stephen Marsh,
Yes.
Jonathan Sachs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And Francine, I emailed you
I
those
got
letters.
I saw it come through. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you all.
Have
Shall
a
we
good evening,
review-
everyone.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Minutes?
Minutes.
Lisa, I'm again confused about December.
Okay.
You and I were fully in agreement on January.
All right,
27th.
I might have sent you the wrong version, Jonathan. I'm gonna look. Do you have the same ability as me to look what was on the website?
You know, I think we're good now based on what's on the website. So
Okay, that's what I should have sent. So that's my
Okay.
mistake. Okay,
then I would make a motion to accept the December 22nd minutes as presented, revised and posted to the website that currently exists.
okay. So I just need to make sure I send the right version to you, Francine, and I
Yeah.
will double check that.
Okay.
That to be second or just
We need a second. And then we
Second.
need to vote. Thank you.
Irene
Can I
seconded
vote?
it.
Arthur,
yes, yes.
Irene,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I have to apologize on the current ones because I was on vacation and I could not read this on my, I started to, it blew up my brain trying to work it on my phone. Scrolling back and forth.
I have one comment
Okay,
on page 14,
all right, I'm there.
1 to 3rd sentence down. Currently is only 1 foot from the front property line.
Wait, on 14, 3 lines down.
The whereas clause.
On page 14. As the home currently is.
Oh, wait,
only one-
I'm in the wrong one. Sorry. These are the.
Okay.
Uh-oh, I have the wrong,
Month?
yeah, I had the wrong thing open. These are the minutes of,
January 26.
maybe I'll get the hard copy.
Oh, the hard copy.
Sorry, I thought I had that open. January 20, no, that's December.
13? What's the sentence, Arthur?
Okay, on the under A, page 14.
I don't know where we're coming up.
1, I mean.
13 is a whereas clause.
Yeah, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood. Okay, the paragraph below,
All right.
third line down.
Better than presently exists.
The board finds that granting the variance will not produce an undesirable change, character of the neighborhood, or detriment to nearby properties, because the proposed
Proposal
is
is
better than what presently exists, as the house currently is only 1 foot from the front property line.
Did you find it, Lisa?
No, I'm in the right, I'm in the January 26th draft minutes on page 14.
Yeah. Whereas clause AI, the third line down in the answer.
Okay.
Front.
Where
You're
the
in-
house presently exists 1 foot from the front property line. The
Oh,
word
yes,
front.
I see it now, 1 foot from the front property line. So you want to add the word,
Third line.
Front,
add the word front. Okay, done.
that's it.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Okay.
That's all I can find, but that's my, one I made a motion on, so.
Okay.
I'll agree with it.
So then the only question is whether Jonathan wants to abstain. We have, if all three can vote yes, then Jonathan does.
I'm reading.
I vote yes.
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 Okay, well, wait a minute, we do have to have a motion, so Arthur is,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
who
of-
seconded?
Second.
Irene, thank you. And definitely we have three yeses.
And I'll abstain. You're good.
All right, Francie, when's the next meeting?
March 23rd.
Hey. It'll be spring, yes? No, yes. Yes.
Yes,
This
it
is
will.
local.
Is that gonna be in person?
Probably.
Probably.
The current executive order expires March 16th. So unless the state disaster is continued beyond March 16th, then we're likely to be in person.
Good. Then I don't have to worry about my computer anymore. All right, guys, have a nice evening.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you Wednesday. Yes, see you Wednesday, Rich.
See you Wednesday.